The Science of Magi, by Papus. Preface. In recent years, occultism has assumed a position of considerable magnitude within the intellectual sphere of numerous contemporary researchers. Upon becoming persuaded that the majority of phenomena produced by psychic forces were authentic, I recollected the existence of a specific theoretical framework regarding them, namely, magic. As the Persian magicians asserted their ability to elucidate and engender similar occurrences at will, it appeared meritorious to subject their conceptions to scholarly scrutiny. These tenets are not as irretrievably lost as one might surmise. Indeed, even a cursory inspection of authors dedicated to magic and alchemy across the ages, coupled with a comparative analysis of their precepts against those enshrined in the Zend-Avesta and the Kabbalah, discloses that, notwithstanding the transmutation of terminology over the centuries, a perfect concordance of thought endures. From this foundation emerges a doctrine capable of aligning, with remarkable interest, with contemporary scientific theories, potentially aiding science in the elucidation of the manifold natural facts that remain hitherto unexplained. Occultism stands as a doctrine of equipollent value to others, laying no claim to an exclusive monopoly on truth within its pedagogies. Its theoretical constructs tend to supplant mysticism with a distinct rationalism. Regarding the study of spiritualist phenomena, occultism, while not negating the potential intervention of spirits of the deceased in isolated instances, severely circumscribes their purported role, attributing the majority of such events to a transcendent hypnotism generated by forces emanating from the medium and the gathered participants. This position constitutes the source of the favor occultism has garnered among enlightened intellects and accounts for its rapid success in France, while simultaneously explaining the vehement opposition arising from certain spiritualist authors. To accept the reality of these phenomena and encourage the dissemination of all works and experiments validating their existence, yet to simultaneously reduce celebrated séances, such as those of Henry Lacroix with Alfred de Musset, or the communications of Victor Hugo and Joan of Arc, to mere psychiatric data, without denying the potential communion of a son with his father, inevitably invites the hostility of those who desire, above all else, to be consoled. Occultism has frequently been misjudged, predominantly through ignorance. In this concise treatise, we have endeavored to restore the discussion to its proper foundation. The title of this volume merely designates the historical provenance of the doctrines herein presented. Occultism is inextricably linked to the science of the Magi. To demonstrate this, we have cited authors from every epoch, ranging from the age of the Zend-Avesta and the Kabbalah up to the year 1825, paying particular attention to the 16th century, which is especially notable in this regard. Our citations are predominantly derived from translations produced by members of our university, thereby ensuring that the ideas of the authors have not been distorted. We retain the names of the authors and provide chapter references solely so that, should the need arise, we may simply state thus it is, without arrogating these concepts as our own. Our objective is to respond to those who, unacquainted with the history of philosophical doctrines, imagine that we have invented occultism. We possess no greater claim to that honor than we do to the title of mage, which has been applied to us notwithstanding our protestations. We regard such appellations from past eras as a vanity excusable in a novice, yet foolish for a serious writer and detrimental to the respect owed to sincere research. In the 19th century, valid titles were those acquired through examinations and academic accomplishment. Examinations may be reformed or newly established. However, titles such as mage or hierophant, which offer no guarantee of erudition, ought not to be employed. Genius necessitates no degree, and thus there exists no reason to imitate that which should rightly be discarded. Returning to the occult, to this ancient science of the Magi, we must recall that the aim of this work is to present a succinct delineation of the subject. We are compelled to present, in the form of dogmatic assertions, ideas that frequently require extensive elaboration. For further details regarding birth, death, the seven principles, history, and related matters, we refer readers to our prior methodical treatise on occult science, a 1,200-page octavo volume containing numerous tables and supplementary information within the bibliography and doctrine. The synopsis offered herein is entirely novel and does not constitute a selection from previous studies. It is an endeavor to disseminate our ideas, an essay for whose deficiencies the reader may grant forgiveness. Papus, 20th March, 1892. The Immutable Foundations of Occult Science. Triunity, Correspondences, and the Astral Plane. History records that the greatest intellects of the ancient West consummated their education within the Egyptian mysteries. The science imparted by the guardians of those mysteries is known by various designations, including occult science, hermeticism, magic, occultism, and esotericism. In whatever guise it appears, this body of instruction constitutes the traditional science of the Magi, which we generally term the occult. This science encompassed the theory and practice of a vast array of phenomena, of which only a fraction today constitutes the domain of magnetism or so-called spiritualistic evocations. These practices, contained within the study of psychergy, formed, it must be noted, only a minor portion of occult science, which further included three major divisions: theurgy, magic, and alchemy. The study of the occult is susceptible to 2 points of view. It illuminates the past with a totally new radiance and permits the historian to reclaim antiquity in a manner hitherto little known. This study also presents the contemporary experimenter with a synthetic system of assertions to be verified by science, alongside concepts regarding forces as yet obscure, forces of nature or of man to be mastered through observation. The employment of analogy, a characteristic method of the occult, and its application to our contemporary sciences or to our modern conceptions of art and sociology, renders it possible to cast new light upon the most insoluble problems of appearance. Occultism, however, is not intended to provide the sole possible solution to the issues it addresses. It is an instrument of labor, a means of study, and only foolish pride could compel its adherents to claim possession of the absolute truth at any juncture. Occultism is a philosophical system that provides a resolution to the inquiries that most frequently arise in the mind. Is this solution the only expression of truth? This is what only experience and observation can ascertain. To obviate any misinterpretation, occultism should be divided into 2 principal parts: an immutable component that forms the basis of tradition and which can be readily located in the writings of all Hermeticists, whatever their era and whatever their origin, and a personal component belonging to the author, composed of commentaries and specific applications. The immutable component can be divided into 3 points: the existence of triunity as a fundamental law of action across all planes of the universe, the existence of correspondences intimately uniting all portions of the visible and invisible universe, and the existence of an invisible world, an exact double and perpetual factor of the visible world. The possibility granted to each intelligence to manifest its potentialities in detailed applications is the effective cause of the advancement of studies, the origin of the various schools, and the proof of the capacity for each author to maintain his personality intact, whatever the field of action in which he is engaged. Chapter 1. The Synthetic Anatomy of Man and the Trinity in Unity. The three fundamental principles. Upon initial inspection, nothing appears more labyrinthine than the human entity. How might one scrutinize every minutiae of the anatomical and physiological structure of this being without even addressing its psychological composition? Esotericism pursues synthesis in all matters, relinquishing the investigation of particulars to the rigorous labor of the analytical sciences. Let us ascertain whether it is feasible to define, in a synthetic manner, the principles that constitute the human being. Ordinarily, the organs of the human being appear before us in a state of unceasing activity. Everything functions, moves, and manifests in myriad ways, rendering it exceedingly difficult to discern the few primary causes hidden behind the multitude of effects. Nevertheless, night descends, the limbs relax, the eyes close. The external world ceases to impinge upon the individual, and the individual ceases to act upon the external world. He sleeps. We may utilize this slumber as the foundational point for our inquiry. In sleep, the arteries pulsate, the heart persists in its labor, the blood circulates, the digestive organs continue to function, and the lungs inhale and exhale air with rhythmic precision. During this state, the human being is incapable of movement, sensation, or cogitation, unable to love or hate, to experience joy or suffering. The limbs remain inert and the countenance calm, yet the body sustains its functions as though no alteration has occurred. We are, therefore, compelled to acknowledge within man a mechanical component that operates in both waking and sleeping states, namely the body itself, and a distinct component, the intellectual, which manifests solely during wakefulness, designated as consciousness or spirit. The domain of the organism appears as clearly delineated as that of the mind. However, within the organism itself, all that relies upon the spirit, the limbs, the face, the organs of speech, and general sensation, remain in repose as we have observed. The processes that sustain the automatic operation of the human machine transpire within the trunk, distributed across its three segments: the abdomen, the chest, and the head. Like any apparatus, the human organism possesses directing organs, a motive force, and a center for the maintenance and renewal of that force. Considering a purely material illustration, such as a locomotive, we observe that specific components are set in motion by steam, and the replenishment of steam is upheld by a constant generation of heat. Similarly, in the human organism, there exist specialized organs, arteries, veins, digestive organs, and so forth, propelled by nervous energy transmitted through the networks of the great sympathetic system. This energy, concurrent with the individual life of each cell constituting the organs, is sustained by the arterial blood flow. Thus, the organs, acting as centers of action for various forces, the nervous motive force, and the animating force of the blood, represent the essential principles that maintain the human machine in operation. When the individual awakens, an additional element is adjoined to these forces. The limbs commence movement, the face becomes expressive, the eyes open, and the dormant figure rises and speaks. A new existence commences while organic life continues mechanically. The principle now emerging is fundamentally distinct from the preceding ones. It possesses its own organs within the body, its own specialized nervous system, and utilizes the body much as a laborer employs tools or a mechanic operates a locomotive. It governs all the centers and peripheral organs that, until that moment, were in repose. This is what we designate as the conscious mind. Summarizing the foregoing, we identify three principles within man. That which sustains all is the physical body. That which animates and impels all, forming the two poles of a single principle, is the soul. That which governs the entire being is the spirit. The physical body, the soul or doubly polarized plastic mediator, and the conscious mind constitute the three general principles that comprise the human being. If we affirm that the plastic mediator is dual, we may assert that man is composed of three organic principles: that which sustains, that which animates, and that which moves, namely the body, the astral body, and the being. All physics, synthesized and coalesced, returns to a unity of action under the conscious principle, the governor, the spirit. This serves as an exemplar of what is termed in occultism the Trinity in unity, or triunity. The threefold constitution of man, therefore, consists of the physical body, the plastic mediator or soul, and the conscious spirit. This final principle synthesizes the preceding ones and transmutes the organic trinity into unity. Occultists of all epochs and schools concur regarding this fundamental division into three principles. The analysis of these principles, alongside the study of their physical, emotional, and intellectual functions and their anatomical or psychological loci, has led certain schools to establish subdivisions that are purely analytical. Nevertheless, the immutable foundation of esoteric teaching remains the doctrine of the three principles. The physical body sustains all elements composing the incarnate human and possesses its center of action in the abdomen. The astral body animates all elements composing the incarnate human, locates its center of action in the chest, and constitutes the principle of cohesion within the human being. The psychic being impels all elements composing the incarnate human, excluding those under the control of the spirit, and its center of action lies in the lower posterior portion of the head. The spirit, synthesizing within itself the three preceding principles, governs the entire organism, enlightened by the intelligence and served by the will. The spirit maintains its base in the material brain. However, with rare exceptions, it is not fully embodied within the human being. That which supports all elements constituting the human being on earth is the physical body. The physical body provides its own constitution with the skeleton, muscles, and digestive organs, as well as all their dependencies. It supplies the astral body with erythrocytes, circulatory organs, and all their dependencies. It furnishes the psychic being with all material principles of the ganglionic nervous system. Finally, it provides the spirit with all material principles of the conscious nervous system. The material elements of human beings are renewed under the influence of sustenance transformed by the chyle digestion apparatus. The center of renewal and action of the physical body is, therefore, situated in the abdomen. The physical body circulates within the organism through the system of lymphatic vessels, wherein the ganglia, centers of material reserves, are located. The physical body, guided in its organic progression by the instinct, manifests itself to the conscious mind through needs. The animating and cohesive double, that which animates all elements constituting the human being, is the astral body. The astral body serves as the double of the physical body. It constitutes an organic reality and possesses physical organs, centers of action, and specific locations. The physical organs specially assigned to the astral body are the organs of respiration and circulation, along with all their dependencies. The center of action of the astral body is, therefore, situated in the chest. Its organic functions are maintained under the influence of atmospheric air, transformed by the respiratory system into a vital force fixed within the blood globule. The circulatory system diffuses this vital force to all points of the body and provides the psychic being with the necessary principles for the development of nervous force. The astral body, moved by sentiments, manifests itself to the conscious spirit through passion, the mover of the organism and sublimator of vital force, that which impels all elements constituting the human organism is the psychic being. The psychic being acts properly as the center of sublimation and condensation for the astral body. It possesses its own physical organs of circulation and action. The physical organs specially attributed to the psychic being are those composing the ganglionic nervous system and all its dependencies. The center of action of the psychic being is, therefore, located in the head. Its organic operations are sustained under the influence of the vital force supplied by the blood and transmuted by the agency of the cerebellum into a nervous force. The nervous system associated with organic existence disseminates movement to every locus of the organism and furnishes the conscious mind with the requisite components for the generation of thought. Consequently, the spirit possesses the head as its center of action. The physical body supplies the material substance of the conscious nervous system. The astral body furnishes the vital force that animates it, and the psychic being provides the nervous force indispensable for its operation. Furthermore, each of these three principles endows the mind with one or more sensory organs. The physical body affords the spirit touch and taste. The astral body contributes the sense of smell, and the psychic being bestows hearing and vision. These diverse senses establish a connection between the spirit and the external world. Conversely, the spirit is related to the inner being, which manifests itself to the former through sensual, passionate, or intellectual impulses. It is via the spinal cord that communications are established between the conscious spirit and each of the three organic centers of the human entity: the abdomen, the chest, and the head. The essence of the spirit resides in its freedom to either succumb to or resist the impulses of the inner being. It is within this primordial faculty that free will essentially resides. The spirit, though intrinsically independent of each of the three organic centers, acts upon them not immediately, but mediately. The spirit cannot directly alter the course of the circulatory organs. However, it possesses plenary power regarding the selection of the respiratory environment. The nasal cavities, the gateway to the chest, reside under the control of the spirit, with the sense of smell serving as a sensory adjuvant. It follows that the spirit may desire to voluntarily modify the constitution of the physical body by appropriately adjusting dietary intake, and that the spirit may also influence the astral body by manipulating the respiratory rhythm and modifying the inhaled atmospheric air. Finally, the action of the spirit upon the eyes and ears permits the development of conscious clairvoyance and clairaudience. Through sustenance, inhaled air, and sensations, the spirit acts within the inner being. Through its limbs, it acts upon nature. The larynx and the eyes, considered organs of expression, and the mouth, viewed in the same light, are added to the limbs in the conscious action of the spirit upon other men and the external world, the non-self. In summation, the functions of the spirit are encapsulated in the following data regarding philosophical anatomy and physiology. By virtue of the material, vital, and psychic elements supplied by the three principles of the inner being, the spirit possesses specialized means of action. That which feels, it receives. From the inner being, regarding the sensual, animated, and intellectual impulses of the non-self, there arise various sensations. That which thinks, it perceives the ideas derived from these diverse psychic states, compares them, classifies them, extracts judgment therefrom, and, finally, formulates its will. That which desires, he then acts. Within the internal being, through the portals of the three centers, portals that are under his dependence, and via the elements introduced into each of the three centers. He may also act upon the periphery of his being through the limbs. Upon the non-self, he acts by the limbs placed under his dependence and by certain other organs of expression. The voice, the gaze, the gesture, etc. That which he feels and that which he desires stands in direct relation to the organs of the body. That which thinks, conversely, dominates them. The action of the abdomen upon the non-self results in chyle. The action of the chest upon the non-self results in the dynamism of the blood. And from the action of the head upon the organ, the idea results. What, then, results from the action of the conscious spirit both within the internal being and in the external world? Self-will, the regulator of human destiny. The human being, conceived as a whole, manufactures, through the free use his will makes of the elements entrusted to him, fortune or misfortune for his future development. It is self-will that regulates the destiny of the human monad. This semi-schematic figure represents the respective domains of the unconscious and the conscious mind in man. All that is rendered in white is situated under or influenced by the unconscious. All that is tinted black is placed, conversely, under the direction of the conscious will. The sections depicted in gray represent the conscious sensitive portion of the human being. The black sections indicate the motor components. Nature. The cosmic organism and its immutable laws. Man constructed great cities. Surrounding these cities, well-cultivated fields spread. Within the meadows, one observed beautiful herds grazing in complete tranquility, and a human society, with its social organs and national faculties, settled in this marvelous land of Egypt. Yet, the magnetic axis of civilizations has shifted by a degree. War and conflagration have wreaked havoc upon the municipalities. Ruins have superseded superb cities, and wild vegetation and forests have usurped the fields. Ferocious beasts and venomous serpents have overtaken the fattened herds, and now no human society is visible in these deserts. What, then, is this mysterious power that thus vanquishes the works of men? What is this concealed adversary that reclaims possession of its property, step by step, the moment man ceases to struggle? It is nature. Nature is the fatal force that impels everything man perceives around him in the universe, from the sun to the blade of grass. It is only at the cost of constant struggle, it is only by ceaselessly developing the efforts of his will, that man is capable of dominating nature and transforming it into a precious auxiliary in his march toward the future. The human will is as potent as natural fatality. These are two of the highest cosmic forces that have manifested themselves within the Absolute. Consider any corner of our planet where nature manifests its undivided power alongside the action of man, and observe whether we do not discover their general laws concealed beneath the multiplicity of apparent efforts. Behold a corner of the rainforest. The earth, with its geological strata interspersed with metallic veins, forms the foundation, the support of nearly all that is visible. A stream silently traces its course amidst the trees and plants that emerge on every side. Without the fertilization of water, acting upon the planet as chyle does within humans, nothing would flourish upon the parched earth. Amidst these plants, insects move, rapid and preoccupied with the struggle for existence. Do you want access to this and all the complete audiobooks on the channel, plus the ebook version? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code in the left corner of the screen to access our library, where you can listen to your favorite esoteric books without ad interruptions, lock your screen, or use other apps while the narration plays, and even download the ebook version to follow along as you listen. Listen on your computer via web browser, or download the app from the Play Store. After subscribing, you will receive an email with your login details, password, and step-by-step instructions on how to access the books through the Hotmart app.